Hi, this is Neil Boland, and let's talk about something I get asked about quite a bit. It's about competition in search results and whether you should bother in the first place, in particular in relation to keyword marketing and keyword SEO, search engine optimization. Okay, a lot of people see the search results for their local business and they Google their own thing. So, say they're a plumber and they go plumber, or they do plumber Essendon, something like that, or plumber Altona, okay? And they see that the search results is just full of competitors and they're like, well, why should I bother spending money on SEO and on a keyword when these guys are already here? What am I going to do about that? There's a few factors here to consider. One thing that it could be is that it could be a thing called domain authority. Now, to explain these concepts to you, I'm going to talk about one particular search term that brings up some interesting things for me in particular. I get a bit of hay fever, as my partner knows, and taking all the drugs when they don't help it, or I'm just sick of taking them. I'm looking for a natural way of alleviating the symptoms. Now, in the naturopathic world, there are some theories that local honey will actually help with that sort of thing, so I do search for it from time to time. So it is a search term that people do look for as well, because there is a theory out there that does help. I'm not going to prove it or disprove it, it's just out there, okay? Seems to help with me, but I don't know if it's just up here, okay? So I'm looking for local honey. So I go to Google and I just simply type in local honey. Boom, done. That's a very broad search term because even though it says local, it doesn't say local honey. Is it local to where? Okay, now Google does do a good job of finding out where the searcher is from. It's detecting where you are in a vague sense and giving you stuff around your area in the search results closest to you. So you can do that, okay? So I've just done local honey. Apparently about 140 people a month search for this, according to my very vague analytical tool here. And the first thing that comes up is rooftophoney.com, probably the most famous honey company in Melbourne. Probably because when they started, they put hives on the top of skyscrapers and stuff in the city, which was pretty cool, and everyone talked about it a lot, and they've got really nice produce as well, so it's really cool. And it comes up and it says local raw honey, and that's what's recommended for me to eat, or for anyone with these symptoms to eat. You've got to have the raw stuff. So there they are. Now, if you look at them, they've got a map as well. They've got a map listing, which is really important for you to have. Any business that operates out of a certain locality needs a map listing because people need to know where you are, and quite often the map listing will actually turn up at the top of the Google search results page before they even see the list of websites down below. So it's really important to be amongst the red pins on that, amongst your competitors. So local honey. Now we've got some other listings here. We've got Rooftop on the first two positions, and we've got localhoney.melbourne. Now if you look a bit closer into this, have a look over here, Kinglake. Okay, so Kinglake is about 40-50 kilometres from Melbourne CBD. So if I live anywhere near the Melbourne CBD, that's probably a bit too far to be considered local honey for me. But, you know, the jury's out as to how local it has to be. But as a consumer and a searcher, I look at that and go, that's a bit far away. But it might be close enough according to the naturopaths. I don't know. So I might be a bit doubtful as to whether I'll source it from them. Probably does work perfectly well. Who knows? The stuff that I'm eating probably comes from 100 k's away. I don't know. Okay. The other thing in the search result is the Australian Honey Map links consumers to local beekeepers from the ABC News. So it's an article. Okay. The search term keyword local honey is actually in the written article on the ABC News website. Now, that's okay if I want to read about that kind of stuff, but I was looking for the product, not to read about the actual story about anything. I just wanted to find where I can get the product. So there, according to the search results, is a listing that is actually not particularly strong for useful content for me to buy something, but it's there, it's ranking, right? So the competitors aren't really that well optimized to bump a news article out of there. And it's the same thing as well with Gumtree, which is a directory site, which is really annoying, but there they are ranking because there are hardly any well-optimized websites for local honey. So you can see what I'm driving at here. The Rooftop Honey guys have got positions 1 and 2, right? And then, but really, the other 8 positions are open for occupation by other companies because they're only there by default. It's the best thing that Google can find. Okay. The other thing with the local raw honey company, rooftophoney.com.au, they would have a thing called domain authority. Now, this is how you've got to look at it realistically compared to you. If you're just starting out, you're not going to have the domain authority. Domain authority can mean a few things. It can mean that the brand outside of the internet is really, really strong and it's feeding traffic to the internet and people are just looking for that company. They get pushed to the top or higher up in the search results, okay? The other thing with domain authority is quite literally, it could have been the first website of its kind in that sector to be put on the internet, okay? So Google knows that these guys have been around the longest. That domain name there has been around a while, okay? So that's the reason why they're there. Doesn't mean their content's not good as well, but it sometimes means that people with domain authority can actually rank with domain authority with not very good content, okay? So, but if they had very good content, they might have more of a chance of staying there for a very long time as well. So that's one way of looking at it. So there's opportunity here, even though it seems very, very competitive, you should bother, okay? The other thing that might actually happen too is out of all the people in the top 10, who knows how long those competitors are going to stay in existence for, okay? Things that happen out in the real world can affect what happens in search results. So say, for example, your company for the keyword local honey is sitting on position 11, okay, down here, which is on page 2. Now, a lot of people say page 2, you're not even there, okay? It actually happens to be the biggest honey company in Australia or in Victoria, at least the Beechworth Honey Company. Now, they're not on page 1 because they're in Beechworth, a few hours away from Melbourne. Okay, Google's pretty smart. They know that they're not that local to me sitting here in Melbourne. Okay, let's go back to page 1 again though. Let's say that one of these competitive businesses shuts up shop. They don't want to do it anymore. The owner retires, they get rid of the company, they don't sell the company on. Okay, if they sell the company on, the website might stay, they keep that position. But if they sell the company, if they just wrap it up and they just move on, they take the website down, that will open up a position on page 1, maybe for the guys in the first position on page 2 to come over to the first page. Okay, if you're lurking anywhere around that page 2 area, you might have a chance eventually, but you might have to wait. Okay, so it's a long prospect because you'll be waiting for someone to wrap up or retire. Okay, but that's one thing that could happen too, or they just decide to not have the company anymore. One thing to note though is that when a website disappears like that, Google will keep that in the domain name in the index, sorry, their domain in the index and the URL on the website, blah, 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 whatever you want to call it. The listing in the index for a while, and it will still display in search results for a while until it eventually falls out of the index, okay? So that's what happens there. Competitor might close. One main thing that I'd look at too, you've got a chance not just with one keyword, but maybe embellishing the keyword that you have. If you lengthen it and by making it more specific, of course you're going to have fewer searches for it, but those are your people. You got less traffic, but better quality traffic. You can get those people to your website for it too. So maybe if someone is ranking for local honey, just local honey on its own, let them have it. Let them do it. Maybe you want to get a bit more niche with that kind of thing, okay? So maybe if the Melbourne search or the general search is not working for you, maybe type in something like local honey near me, okay? Google has become very good at recognizing the near me extension to the keyword tail, right? And as soon as someone types in near me, they detect where they're actually searching from, and it says, okay, this person's searching from this part of Melbourne, let's show them all the red dots on the map where the local honey is near them, okay? That's a good way of doing it. And you can see that's got 90 a month, 90 searches a month, according to my very vague analytical tool here. And for local honey Melbourne, it's 100 a month. So if someone's ranking for 100 a month, let them have it. If you want to have a go at ranking for someone who's doing 90 a month, it's not going to make much difference. Have a go. The other thing you might want to do is actually get down to a suburb level. Okay, now I've just put in local honey Preston. Okay, now annoyingly enough, Gumtree's #1. They're just a directory site. That's all. They're like a grubby old eBay site. Okay, but it's got a good listing in there, and that's the best thing Google could find. So if your honey production and your hives and everything is going on in Preston, this is an opportunity right here. Okay, because there isn't one company here in the search results who are directly selling the product. Okay, it's Gumtree's a listing. Localfoodconnect.org is like a not-for-profit, which will have a listing of people in there who are local. It's just got the word honey and Preston in their copy. Okay, Aussie Apiarist Online. That's a website about the whole country. Okay, so Google is finding these listings based on the best thing it can find, and not any of it's much good. Okay, so if you produce honey and you keep bees in Preston, you could be doing local honey in Preston. Okay. What Google will also do too, if someone from the neighbouring suburbs, say like Coburg, looks up local honey Coburg, they should show your Preston listing as well, because it does do surrounding areas quite well in the Google search results. So that is why you should try. You've got to either consider that the competitor is using domain authority, or it's an old company with an old website ranking just because it's a default thing that Google will do to them because they've been around for ages, good content or not. The competitor may close, the landscape might change in your industry, and find a unique selling point as well. So if the keyword search is already well occupied by someone over here, think of another keyword or think of a more specific version of that keyword. That is why you should try. If you've got any more questions about this kind of thing, you can go to www.gumbo.online and I'll see you there.